What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talker. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers did nothing at the trade deadline yesterday, but there's been plenty of news that has come out in the last 24 hours to give us at least some insight to what was happening yesterday when they didn't do anything, how they almost did a few things, and, well, we got to hear from their new wide receiver for the first time. And I will tell you this, being there and talking to MVS today, my thoughts on the situation have changed slightly. Not a ton. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince everybody that he is the next coming of Antonio Brown. But I will say that speaking to him today had me a little bit feeling a little bit optimistic for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a windy one, but a good one here in the Berg. The Pittsburgh Steelers play some football on Sunday, and we're getting close, which is always great. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. I mean, you're coming in here with a little breath of fresh air with your optimism here. I'm trying to match it. I'm reaching in deep into the reserves to come back with something equal. So I'm feeling all right, man. It is a windy one here. Feeling good. Feeling like maybe it's time to turn the page on the trade deadline. Maybe it's time to just look forward. So we're getting there, is what I would say.
We are getting close to turning the page on the trade deadline. I will say that I did a lot of digging today. I tried to talk to as many people as I can to just figure out, where the Pittsburgh Steelers stood, how close they were on some stuff. I will tell you this, the Steelers were active. They were definitely active yesterday. This was not a Pittsburgh Steelers sitting around doing nothing. They came up with nothing, and you could have conversations about whether or not they should have made a trade, whether or not they were cheapskates in the trade markets. You could have all those conversations. The Pittsburgh Steelers did make some phone calls. They were active yesterday, and according to one report, they were active in both ways, both giving and, well, potentially receiving a player in the process. But let's start with MVS. Marquez Valdes-Scantling arrived in Pittsburgh today. He practiced for the first time, told me and others that he's healthy, ready to go. Everything was smooth. The reason that it took him a week to get to Pittsburgh was not hiking in the Appalachians with his family, as close of a second as that was. That was. He said, he was like, that's what I would have been doing, but other things came up. He had to settle the injury settlement with the 49ers and then go through his own physical with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had to sneeze there. This is like the seventh time. Thank you. Had to go through physical with the Pittsburgh Steelers before he was cleared and ready to go. And that took a couple of days. He's here. He's rocking number 11. Him and Aaron Rodgers have one crazy instant connection. I will tell you that. Not on the football field. MVS did not take first team reps and all that good stuff. But off the field, their lockers are next to each other. A-Rod made it very known. I love MVS. I'm glad that he's here. MVS let it be known that Aaron was recruiting him before Aaron Rodgers actually signed to the Pittsburgh Steelers, telling him to come to Pittsburgh with him to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's how close these two were, is that MVS was one of few people who knew that Aaron was going to end up in Pittsburgh before me, you, and everybody else knew Aaron was going to end up in Pittsburgh. He spoke today on that friendship. I think it's important for you guys to hear what he had to say.
Do you feel like you're going to end up here eventually somehow?
Yeah, man. This guy next to me got me here. Yeah, he's been trying to get me around since we left Green Bay. So,
what's your first impressions?
Aaron still got it. Nah, man, I'm excited. It's a new opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. So excited to see what the rest of the year looks like.
What can you bring to this offense? I know you're on the practice squad right now, but watching a practice,
Yeah, I mean, just trying to get my feet acclimated. Obviously, I played a lot of football, made a lot of plays in this league for a long time, and so just bringing that here and hopefully it helps win some games.
What they tell you about what it's going to take, the process of getting from the P squad up to the
I mean,
53?
just got to get up to speed on what's going on. Obviously, we're in the middle of the season, so just getting acclimated with play calls and understanding what my role is going to be, and that'll be that. But when that time comes, I'll be ready for it.
There was talk after training camp you might have ended up here. You went was that in consideration?
Yeah. It was between here and the 49ers. And so I ended up choosing the 49ers because it was the same system that I was running with Clint in Seattle. So it was just kind of an easier transition to get on the field right away. And that was kind of it.
Now that he's not sitting here anymore, what works for you guys in Green Bay?
I mean, obviously he's the best to ever play this game, man. So it's pretty easy when you got that guy under center. It just being on the same page, and we built a great rapport over the 4 years that we got to play together. And like I said, he's one of my closest friends in this NFL thing that I've ever made, and he's taught me a lot. And so just being able to be around him again and get some more knowledge 4 years later, I'm excited about.
You guys stay in touch
all the time
in the interim?
Yeah, all the time.
Shout out to MVS, man. He seems like a good dude. I'm excited to get to know him a little bit more. And I'm going to be honest, and you could disagree with me all day. I respect it. Watching that again, but being there in person, I was fired up. I was like, MVS and A-Rod have a connection. And that has to mean something. It might not mean that he's Jalen Waddle. It might not mean that he's Jacoby Myers. It might not mean that he's A.J. Brown. But I think it means more than just he's another practice squad guy. I think it means more than he's Isaiah Hodgins, who's just going to spend the next 8 weeks on the P squad. I think there's an actual possibility that he's involved in the offense enough to make some sort of impact. I'm not saying a wide receiver too. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to justify the Steelers not making a move. I'm trying to simply say, this isn't a negative on top of a negative. I think it's a potential wide receiver 3 mix for the Steelers that, might give them a little something. And right now, I think they need a little something. I walked away from there feeling pretty decent about Aaron Rodgers and MVS's chances. What's your thoughts? And again, you could tell me I'm nuts and that I'm, just way too chipper today. Maybe it was because my coffee was delicious. I have no idea, but you could tell me all these things. What was your thoughts after hearing that?
I mean, it's exciting to see the rapport that MVS and Aaron Rodgers clearly already have. It's exciting to see another player come into the locker room as upbeat and optimistic and to use your word chipper regarding the situation. I have no doubts that MVS is going to find his way into some sort of role on the offense pretty quickly. I do not share, I guess, the same confidence that you do that it's going to be anything overly productive. They have a need for him. They need another wide receiver for sure. The fact that he has an instant sort of level of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers is going to be to his benefit and probably the Steelers' offense. At the same time, I think you said yesterday something around like 400 yards or something like that for MVS could be
410.
enough. 410. And I tell you what, man, that I don't think my response is in opposition to that number, right? I just think it's not that impressive of not that impressive of production for this offense. I think now here's where I'm like, they bust open one deep ball, right? In the next couple of weeks. All of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. Is MVS kind of a nice sneaky addition? But do I have the belief or confidence that they are going to be able to open up their playbook and move the ball down the field swiftly like that? That I don't get the confidence injection or infusion from MVS showing up that the offense can open up like that. Maybe it sounds like you are getting at least a sense of optimism from his arrival, which is great. I don't want to just knock you off your perch, dude. Genuinely, I don't share that same concern. Or I don't share that same level of confidence. If anything, I just have a level of concern. Like, how much is this offense going to improve? Can it improve, 10% more, 20% more over the remaining 8-9 games? with MVS coming up for 6 of them. That doesn't instill a ton of confidence in me personally. But I'm glad that again, I'm trying to dig deep here to find the reserves to match your optimism here. But it doesn't. I don't feel inspired by it.
Let me ask you a question. What does the defense or the offense need to improve percentage wise for them to be like next level, like ready to be that offense that can take the Steelers where they need to go? Because the offense obviously isn't the issue, with the Steelers. And I don't think that the offense was ever supposed to be the group that takes them to a Super Bowl. It was supposed to be the defense. And if the defense was great, I don't even think we'd be having conversations right now being like, they didn't do enough at the deadline. I think if the defense was great, we'd be sitting here going, what did they need to get? Like, a wide receiver would have been great, but if you're scoring 25 to 35 points a game, you're fine. Defense is only giving up 15. Feels like that's working out in your favor. That's obviously not the case. What does the offense need to improve? Like, what percentage gets you there? You know what I mean? Like, the Steelers offense obviously isn't going to beat every offense in the NFL, but like, what percentage in your eyes gets them to a place where there's hope?
I mean, I think there is just a level of production that they have to get to. I struggle to quantify a percentage they have to improve more. I need to see them able to move the ball downfield in chunk plays more often. I would love to see the average passing yards per game that Aaron Rodgers is putting up go up maybe 20 more yards per game, just to seem a little bit more imposing of a group. I would love to see the rushing game, not have these huge games where it's either boom or bust. I would love to see them find some sort of middle ground where they can just be a 90 to 110 yard, rushing yards per game rushing team. Like, instead of going from 50 yards to 200 yards and then never sort of in between. So it's not necessarily about like, oh, they have to improve 20% specifically in order to become a Super Bowl team. They need to keep improving, period. I think what's missing is that ability to stretch the field, is the ability to really keep the defense guessing, the ability to keep the defense on its heels because there is another passing threat counter to DK Metcalf. Like, that still does not exist. Maybe MVS comes in here and is able to stretch the field, give a little bit more respect from the defense. But I mean, he has to show that first. It's not going to be granted to the offense just by virtue of MVS arriving, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. I agree with that. I'm just genuinely curious. Like, I look at it and say, like I said, the Steelers' offense is not the issue; it's the defense. But like, what would the offense have to do to get to a place where it could almost make up for the defense? I don't know if that's even possible, but that's kind of what we felt like. That's what I felt like yesterday was. Everybody was all upset about, myself included. The Steelers didn't go out and get a wide receiver. It's like, well, the Steelers offense doesn't need a wide receiver. It does. It could use a wide receiver, but the Steelers offense has never been the problem. It's at this point, I think everybody gave up on the defense improving enough and saying, offense has got to make up for it. Offense has to compensate for the lack of defense. And I don't think you're going to get there, but I was just curious how close it could be. On the other side of the football, the Pittsburgh Steelers, according to good old Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Jared Dulac, they were considering trading one of their own. They were having conversations of trading one of their own players at the trade deadline. There are a couple of names that have been floated around there. I will tell you this. There are a couple of names that I obviously asked about, checked in on. Who could this be? And I was not given who it was, which did not surprise me. I was given a few names of like, no chance, brother. Like, I was not on the clock. I'm curious, who do you think it is? Who do you believe the Pittsburgh Steelers were calling and trying to trade off of their roster at the deadline?
It's not the juicy answer, but I think they probably were looking at players like Juan Thornhill or maybe Darius Slay, or, again, like one of those veteran secondary players. Like, maybe they had some plans to go get someone they were a little bit more interested in or could be a little bit more reliable, got to clear up a roster spot? Would you rather cut Juan Thornhill or see if you can just sort of throw him somewhere else in a deal? That would be my guess. And again, it's not the juicy, like, ooh, maybe they were making moves on an Alex Highsmith or something like that. Like, I don't think I don't even want to entertain that, because clearly they weren't doing that. As much as maybe I would have liked for them to be entertaining those trade offers and dangling a couple of those pieces of bait, so to speak, I don't think they were doing that. I would imagine it was someone lower on the totem pole, a Juan Thornhill, just seeing if they can maybe clear out a spot to bring in somebody else, or if they were pursuing, if a wide receiver trade was being pursued, down to the wire, they probably had to keep their options open for how to structure the 53-man roster post trade. So I could see them having that sort of deal on the back burner, like, oh, hey, if we go get X wide receiver, we then have this other deal in place where we're going to send Juan Thornhill out and swap 7th round picks or something like that. So that, again, is it the real dramatic, sexy answer? No. I'm curious if if there's anyone else I'm missing or that you're thinking of that maybe could have been considered that I'm missing.
Juan Thornhill was the first name that they tossed out there, so there's no chance. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. It was Alex Highsmith was the name that I checked on, and it was an immediate no chance, brother. Like, wasn't even a thought. What are you even talking about? Okay, sounds good. I would guess Juan Thornhill is a great answer. I think that Juan Thornhill is as safe of an option as they come. A guy that I think is removed from the defense right now, that they're ready to move on from. I wouldn't be surprised if Darius Slay was involved in some capacity, maybe to a contender. Hey, we're looking for a corner. According to, really across the league, there wasn't much corner availability. There was the Sauce Gardner trade, which I could tell you many across the league right now are looking at it going, good player, absolutely insane trade. Like, why are you giving all that up for Sauce Gardner? And besides that, there wasn't many corners out there. I could see the Steelers being like, you know what, we'll make a phone call. We'll see if they want big play Slay, because nobody else is out there, and we know that they're hunting for a corner. I could see that being a possibility. Juan Thornhill is a great guess. That name was not even on my mind, but it would not surprise me at all if Juan Thornhill was the guy to watch, because he's on a 1-year deal. Teams are going to need a safety. The Steelers clearly are moving on in a different direction. Chuck Clark's going to be back. It just kind of feels like there's really no need for it, like there's no need to keep Juan Thornhill if he's off your team, essentially. I don't have anybody else. Like, I really truly don't. I think Roman would be the only other guy that makes sense, but the Steelers like Roman, whether they want to like him or not. The Steelers aren't going to get rid of him for nothing, especially if they're not signing or bringing in anybody. Juan Thornhill might have been the name. 7th round pick for Juan Thornhill. You thinking that's what conditional 7th?
Yeah, that like legitimately like swapping, like going out and getting a 7th round pick for Juan Thornhill and a 7th round pick. Like that's all you're getting. There would have been nothing impressive about this trade whatsoever. But sometimes that's addition by subtraction can be a very real thing sometimes. So I wouldn't have been mad about that deal hypothetically.
No, it's another 7th round pick. You could use that to trade up for whoever. You got 12 picks right now. You can make it 13. Things will be fine. Juan Thornhill is a good name. He was a good name. I don't have another one. I think Juan, Darius Slay were the two. Maybe Chuck Clark was involved in there in some degree. But I would guess that was it. Besides that, I have nobody that I would sit around and be like, that was the guy. That was the guy right there. I think those were the names to watch. All right. Let's finish off our agenda here by talking about some what's more likely. It's Wednesday. I got a 4-pack for you. I'm fired up. And, I'm hoping that the Pittsburgh Steelers, look at, they're 5-3. If yesterday was not the trade deadline, I don't think anybody's in a bad mood about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think yesterday completely 180 flipped it, because Monday we're talking glorious Pittsburgh Steelers. Here they are. They're back. They're alive. This is a 5-3 contention football team. Tuesday, 4 p.m. rolls around, everybody's going, I hate my life. We are all the Jets fan walking out of the stadium saying, I was born into this. I hate this team, but I was born into this. It's Wednesday. I think it's time to recalibrate, take a deep breath, and wish it was sunny. A little bit of sunshine, I think, would have changed everything, but instead it's cloudy. Pittsburgh, the city of Pittsburgh is always, it's most beautiful when it's gloomy. So let's try to cheer some things up. We're going to start with MVS, my friend, on this 4-pack of what's more likely. He's on the practice squad right now. The Steelers are, I could tell you that Aaron Rodgers wants him on the active roster. MVS wants him on the active roster. I expect he will be on the active roster, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are slow rolling this thing. They are not in any big hurry to get him called up to the 53-man roster. We'll see what happens. What's more likely? MVS plays more or less than 7 of the 9 remaining games this season.
More likely that he will play more than those 7. I think he gets the week on the P squad to acclimate, as he said, against the Chargers here. But I mean, after that week, so we're going into what, week 10?
We're heading into week 10. It is week 10 of the NFL season.
Week 11 on, I would fully anticipate MVS being a part of the active roster. So yeah, that would be 8 and 9, and I think that is more likely. So take that for your first of your 4-pack.
It's all right. I like it because I'm going to stick with it here. Okay. The MVS playing more than 7 games this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the expectation. He's got a connection with Aaron Rodgers. There isn't a deep threat in Pittsburgh right now, which means that you could realistically do this. What's more likely? Pat Freiermuth or MVS are the Steelers' second leading receiver by the end of the season. That's a 280-yard gap there for Pat Freiermuth. But, I mean, he did nothing for 3 games, which means he could disappear at any moment once again.
That is so true. And this is not, I don't know if it is an endorsement of Pat Freiermuth when I say this, but I do think it is more likely that Muth finishes second on the team in receiving yards, and it is strictly because of the gap that he has already put up. And it's just, MVS would have to come in here, average at least 50 some yards receiving per game over 8 games, right? If my math is correct, to surpass, what sort of pace Pat Freiermuth is on. That is a big old ask. You can tell me they have chemistry. You can tell me they have a great relationship. The fact of the matter, best friends. And I believe that. The fact of the matter is, second receivers on the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout these first 8 games, they ain't putting up 50 receiving yards per game. You got one guy maybe putting up 75, and then you got a bunch of other guys putting up 25 to 35, and that is just not going to get him there. It will keep Pat Freiermuth going, and it will get him those nice 550 yards that the second leading receiver will get in Pittsburgh. And we'll all be like, man, Artie Smith just earning that head coaching job with this illustrious offense.
Look it. When Arthur Smith did earn his head coaching job, just to be that guy here, AJ Brown had like 1,400 receiving yards. Corey Davis had like 650. Okay. So
fair enough.
Done it before. Now Derrick Henry had 2,000. Okay. and Ryan Tannehill was looking pretty all right. And the Tennessee Titans went to the AFC Championship game. I don't think any of that's happening, but I'm just saying things could happen. Things could happen. I would love to see it. I'm gonna go the other way around. I think MVS finishes the second leading receiver in Pittsburgh by the end of the year. I think it happens.
So miserable, but I think it's a very fair thing to say.
It could be exciting though. In the same time, it could be exciting. He could be the deep ball that Aaron Rodgers has been looking for, and then maybe it works. All right, let's move it to the other side of the ball here. Darius Slay, the guess on who everybody wanted to / the Steelers may have thought about trading at the deadline, stays. He's here. Has not looked good this season. There's been a lot of talk, and really it's only about him right now. At one point, it was Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig. Now it's just Darius Slay. Get Darius Slay off the field. Brandon Eccles starts over Darius Slay. Blah, 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 blah. What's more likely? Darius Slay starts more, less, or equal to. Now, we'll just go Darius Slay starts more or less than 3.5 games for the rest of the season.
Oh, way more. Way more.
More?
That guy. Yeah. Yep.
What?
Big play Slay. I have no doubts that Brandon Echols will out-snap Darius Slay for the rest of the season.
Okay.
Big play Slay gonna be starting on the outside for sure. There is not a doubt in my mind. I mean, and look, Brandon Echols played 45 defensive snaps in the slot
He did.
against the Indianapolis Colts. I think as much as they like his flexibility and being able to kick out to the outside, I think for right now, Jalen Ramsey playing at safety kind of necessitates that Brandon Echols plays the slot more. And that leaves a very Corey Trice isn't back. James Pierre is an island, but only for 50 passing attempts. And then after that, it all comes crumbling down. So that leaves big play Slay on the outside. So I think he's going to start probably every remaining game.
That every one of them, but he does get outsnapped, correct?
Yeah, starts but gets outsnapped in every one.
Okay. 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 All right. That does sound like Mike Tomlin thing to do. At some point, Brandon Echols got to be like, all right, can I please get to run out of the tunnel? That would be awesome. At least one time. Then they're going to start announcing 4 corners. Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, and Brandon Echols, just for no reason whatsoever. All right, we'll stick on the defensive side of the football for this final one here. The Steelers have allowed 4 30-point games this season. They're 4 for 7 on 30-point games, 4 for 8. So 50% mark, not terrible. There are 9 games left. I won't hit you with the over under. I'll do something a little bit different. For the remainder of the season, the Pittsburgh Steelers give up no more 30-point games, or they give up another 5 30-point games. What's more likely?
I hate you.
5 of them. That's a lot of games. That's a lot.
Many.
A lot of games.
So many. This is honestly a perfect execution of the game. Well done, sir. These are impossible choices. I am gonna go out here and not go out on a limb, but stick with my usual pessimistic self and say it's more likely that they allow 5 games of 30 or more points than 0. I tell you what, I think this defense is, you can even get me to agree that this defense is on a pretty good track right now. That performance against the Colts is enough to give you a ton of confidence. It's enough to show you that you have the pieces to beat a very good team. And on all of that, do I think that they solved the issues? No. I wrote a piece today about how their failure to properly address the secondary is going to continue to come back to haunt them, and I do believe that. Then I think it's going to rear its ugly head whenever they play the Detroit Lions, maybe against the Chicago Bears, maybe one of those games against the Baltimore Ravens. There's a lot of chances for the Steelers to give up a ton of points in their remaining games. I gotta unfortunately say it's more likely that they implode than they catch fire, in my opinion. So I'll take 5 30+ games, and I also realize how awful that sounds.
It sounds terrible, absolutely terrible. But you know what? I don't think there's a strong argument for the other side of it either, which stinks. Which stinks. I'll be the bearer of good news though, instead of the bearer of bad news. I'm saying that they don't do it again. I'm saying MVS is the second leading receiver, and they don't do it again. That's my day here, guys. Let's bring a little bit of joy to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 5-3. Okay, life isn't terrible. The trade deadline was terrible. The two different things. The Steelers are back. Do I believe that? Not really, but I'm ready. I'm ready to put it out there. All right, guys, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind All Steelers Talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
Alrighty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Toss your questions in the chat if you got them. Before we get going, hit that like and subscribe button. Can't thank you guys enough. We're going to get it kicking with Smootest Buddhist. Boys, I watched the film and I was way off saying we don't need a wide receiver 2. DK has doubled literally every play. Same as last year with George Pickens 14. Took 24 hours, huh? It's all right. MVS is here. The Steelers do need a wide receiver. I don't think they're going to get, I mean, they're not going to get one. It's over. The search was dead. But I do expect them to go after a wide receiver in the draft next year. Very early. I would have a hard time believing the Steelers don't land a wide receiver in the first 2 picks of their NFL draft in 2026. That's my guess on this because they already have their guy. They're going to need another one. I think he's going to come.
Yeah, I mean, they need more wide receiver help. That's for sure. Even if you think they found their answer in MVS, they need way more help. Smootest Buddhist is bang on. And when I talked about the Steelers not making moves, you can recall and check the tape. It was never me saying they have the answers on offense already. It was never Noah saying, "Oh, you guys just gotta wait until you see what Calvin Austin can do in an expanded role, and then you'll have your answer." Like, no. We've been sitting here saying, like, yeah, this offense is kind of poopy. It's incomplete with the pieces they have. They're game managing. They're not game breaking. And so I think the fact that they have no wide receiver 2 to turn to, MVS could emerge as a threat, right? And I think that would be great. They still don't have that player who attracts attention from an opposing defense. It's not Jonnu Smith. It's not Pat Freiermuth. It's not MVS. It's not Calvin. And it's just kind of a bummer because you can game plan around it, but the expectation and the difference that has to be made up is solely on Aaron Rodgers. And I think that is a huge, huge ask of your 41-year-old quarterback, even if he is a 4-time MVP.
I mean, it's a massive ask. Aaron Rodgers is game managing games right now like I've never seen somebody. It's Tom Brady level game manager. Like that's how good Aaron Rodgers is right now. But that's only going to last you so long because once you can't manage the game, once you can't keep things going, you're in a lot of trouble. They need somebody else. They're not going to get somebody else. I think it will be number 1 priority this offseason because of that. Ernie Jones, shout out my guy. Hey, Noah, you wanted to know earlier on the call-in show what part of Ohio I live in, and I live in Marysville, and the rent here for a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000 a month. And I looked up places in the Berg, and it is cheaper for a place there. Here, rent is very high. And a question for both of you, do you think we will sign a wide receiver in free agency? First off, that's crazy. Hopefully, at least your town is bumping because that's
Marysville
nuts. Marysville, Ohio.
Where the hell is that?
It better be the coolest part of Ohio that we've never heard of. That's what it better be.
So.
That's what it better be. I don't think the Steelers will sign another wide receiver this season. I don't even think there's nobody out there. I think it's over. I think this is what they got. This is what we're going to see what happens for the rest of the year. I do not anticipate them going out to get another wide receiver.
Do you think they'd be players in a hypothetical free agent market next, will that be next spring?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I think their wide receiver room looks drastically different. It's DK. Yeah. I don't know if Calvin returns. I truly don't. I think it could be Roman coming back. I only say that because Roman's on a rookie deal. Like, you're not gonna get rid of him.
I know, but God.
I think it'd be Roman, Ben Skoranek, DK. I think those could be the only 3 guys that come back next year. I think there's a real possibility. Keyshawn Williams.
Yeah, he'll be back. Dude, I tell you what, I don't know if you meant to be inflammatory with that statement, but the possibility of Calvin Austin not returning, like, I don't think they're gonna extend, like, he's not getting a multi-year extension that's like solidifies him as an important piece, but like I do anticipate him coming back because he's just a pretty decent wide receiver. So I think that was the most interesting part of what you just said, is like, is CA3 not a part of the future plans, which is not a crazy thing one way or the
I was
other.
gonna say,
It just
what do you?
seems like he's been a part of the mix recently. So for him to suddenly not be is a little bit of a departure.
I think that they came into the season hoping and believing that he would have more than like 130 yards at this point in the year, and that he would be like, you know what, that's worth $6-7 million a year. And I just don't think that they are getting that right now. And maybe that changes. You know, maybe they do bring him back. But I think if another option's out there, they wouldn't even think twice about it. Duffy Buckets, any word on? I've reached out to. Do you know what?
Asante Samuel Jr.
Yes.
I also just realized where Marysville is on a map. And it looks like it's kind of near Columbus.
Well, at least you got Columbus.
I was gonna say Columbus is a banging city. My brother lives there. And
Once
that's,
in a while,
not the cheapest place to live. So maybe there's a little. Now I'm doing some socioeconomic thinking here about the state layout of
Dude,
Ohio.
I thought you said a little bit of Mountain Dew and the socioec, and I was like, yeah, that's the most Ohio thing I've ever heard. It's the most,
I just would like a little Mountain Dew, and I'm going to take a brief census. You know, that's just what I do here.
Hey, I'm here with the census and Mountain Dew. This is yours. Also, how many people are living here? How many people are in this house?
How many residents consume Mountain Dew?
Yeah. How much Mountain Dew do you currently have in the fridge? That's not enough Mountain Dew, unfortunately. We're gonna have to arrest you. The Steelers have at this point not reached out to Asante Samuel Jr. I could tell you that. And I'm not positive that they're going to, which is super unfortunate. But from my understanding where we sit today, the Steelers have not been in contact with Asante Samuel Jr. That could change. It doesn't seem like the list is very impressive when it's the Panthers and you're gone. Yeah, there it is. There it is. That's it. That's who's going to land them. You would hope that they do. From my understanding so far, they have not.
It honestly reminds me a ton of the Gabe Davis situation from earlier this year, where like it seems like there's some sort of the medical issue or whatever, the physical part of it. Like, I don't really know, obviously, like how far along he is in his recovery. The last reports were that he is 100% and cleared to play. But like, if that was absolutely the truth, unquestioned, he would have signed by now. He's a very talented defender and was with the Chargers. Like, so I
take it back. I take it back. Asante Samuel Jr. will be. This is of 3 minutes ago. So before the podcast, I did not hear he is now scheduled a visit with the Steelers today.
Today's the 5th. Yeah, Wednesday.
Today. Oh, Wednesday. Next week. Next Wednesday.
Interesting. Now there's a little breaking news for the pod. Now there we go. Now we're talking.
That's a big one. That's a big one. The Asante Samuel Jr. coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers is a big one. Is a big one. Okay, let's break that down. I think that's significant enough to talk about here.
Huge.
You can't miss on that. Am I wrong? You can't miss on Asante Samuel Jr. I think he is the perfect piece for the Steelers defense and what they are looking for right now. It allows Jalen Ramsey to remain at safety. I think we said this yesterday. It allows Brandon Echols to fill in on the outside, taking Slay off the field a little bit more. You have much less worry about guys moving around. I think simplicity is key right now. You can move Jalen Ramsey around the defense all you want, but at the same time, you should be, hey, this is our group of guys, okay? And yeah, Jalen's going to move 7 times a game, but the other 39 snaps, he's going to be at safety, and I think that's the perfect way to go about the defense. And I think Asante Samuel Jr. is a must grab for the Steelers.
A must grab, dude. A must grab. This is, I won't use the word perfect. You know, there's a lot of questions, right? He's coming off of a very serious injury. Glad that
Yes.
he has recovered. Glad his NFL career can continue. The Steelers have loved this player for several years coming out of college. They love the NFL
Yes.
pedigree. They love the lineage. They love what he brings in coverage and in run defense. You're bang on. It allows Ramsey to occupy the free safety position more. Now, will he stay there all season? I would love to see that, honestly. Don't know what the plans are. Having a player like Asante Samuel gives you the resources and flexibility to do that. And most importantly, it kicks Darius Slay off the field. And I think Darius Slay coming on as, you're in a James Pierre-like role, we're going to love Darius Slay again. We're going to be like, oh, this is great. He's a veteran past his prime. His usage needs to be tampered down. He's not a useless player. His just usage has been wrong and overutilized. And so I think bringing in a player like Asante Samuel Jr. really will allow the depth chart to shake out for the cornerbacks in a much better way. And maybe, just maybe, the secondary can make a bit of progress and their passing defense can follow suit. So absolutely a can't miss. Doesn't solve the offensive issues, right? But I think it takes a lot less pressure off of the offense if the defense is making another attempt at figuring things out. And that clearly is where the bigger issues remain, as we talked about today for the last couple of weeks. The defensive side of the ball is where they have to improve first and foremost. And so I think this is, again, a can't miss move because of that.
Look, if the Steelers sign Asante Samuel Jr. and they get Kyle Duggar, I'm going to chalk up the trade deadline as a win. Like,
fair.
You didn't get your wide receiver 2. I understand, but you went 2 for 3 on things that you needed. You needed to replace Deshaun Elliott, and you needed to replace Darius. 2 for 3. And honestly, like, that's all you could ask for at the midway point of the season. Doesn't mean that they're now officially Super Bowl big. They're going to beat everybody contenders. No, but it means that you went into the trade deadline and you made a move that could give you an opportunity to do that. And just to be fair to the Steelers, I would say that's enough to say you did your part. Is it going to work? We don't know, but you did your part. I would chalk it up to a win.
Well, and I think what comes into play there more is, and I think a lot of I was kind of surprised how many people didn't think the Steelers' performance or lack of activity at the trade deadline was the right move. I genuinely was surprised. And I think a lot of people whose opinions I look to and greatly value and respect, I just disagreed with their take on the deadline. So that in mind, if you can then remove from it, say, oh, what they actually did at the deadline, although it didn't happen in the 7 or 8 hours preceding the actual 4 p.m. deadline, was add another 2 players to their secondary in an attempt to try to fix their really poor passing defense.
Yep.
That makes a ton of sense. And it also kind of takes away some of the criticism from overspending on wide receivers, right? Then you can get into the situation of like, well, they didn't really want to overspend on Jacoby Myers because they didn't think it was worth it. They didn't want to give up that extra pick for Rashid Shaheed. Again, I don't agree with it in the grand scheme of things, but if you're telling me that happened coupled with they were able to add a couple pieces to their secondary, I'm suddenly a lot less critical of what they did at the deadline and why they did what they did at the deadline.
Agreed. 100% agreed. We'll see if it happens. Wednesday is a long ways away. A long ways away. A lot could happen. Eddie the First, subs keep growing. Y'all prepared to add an hour to? I guess. Love you guys, dude. I think I'd pass out if I did 2 hours here. I think by the end of an hour 15, I'm sitting here going, whew, I've been staring at a little screen for a long time. Shout out my guy, though. We can't thank you guys enough.
We're done.
Yeah. It's good, though, because sometimes there are a lot of days where this is the first actual words that come out of my mouth.
Same.
So yeah, so you're like, you can jump on, you're like, whew, wow, felt great to talk. That was awesome. Because there's nothing worse than your wife getting home and you going like, I don't know if I remember how to speak. I don't think I know how to do that.
Ooga booga.
It would be awesome. Can't thank you guys enough for all the support. It is incredible. And when we hit 60, I think we're about to hit 54.5. When we hit 60, which we're growing quick, we got a giveaway. Let's make it happen by, the next couple of weeks. Let's make it happen by Christmas. Let's make it happen by a little Christmas giveaway would be awesome. Phantom Freak, I just want to know, why does it feel like Tomlin wants the Steelers to fail every year? I could promise you he does not. I don't know what else to add to that. he would headbutt you in the teeth if you told him that I was lying to you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
This is like where this is honestly one of the really fun parts of sports, and one of the most interesting dynamics here is because like Noah's right. Like you know, ask Mike Tomlin wants to win. Mike
Yes.
Tomlin wants to beat the SHIT out of everybody. Like that's not an act. That's not the man certainly knows how to give a quote, right? He knows how to give a media bit for sure, but his
Yes.
intentions as an NFL head coach are to win and be the best. That is not that I don't think that can be questioned. What can be questioned is his methodology at achieving it, right? So like, and clearly there's this really big divide right now between Tomlin's approach and the direction he wants to take the team versus like the fan base's vision for the franchise versus maybe the Roonies versus the media's vision for it. And so I think that is like, you know, not to get too philosophical or in the weeds on that, but like, you know, I disagree with the statement here that Tomlin wants the Steelers to fail.
Mhm.
Neither of us are wrong. So it's just that is like one of the coolest parts about the Steelers fan base and the evaluating the NFL is like there are so many different opinions, and seeing how they kind of interact and and are contrary to one another, I find very interesting.
I also do. I'm a super open individual. You know what I mean? If you talk to me on a daily basis, I tend to just like, yeah, cool. Like you can be like, yeah, dude, murdered a rabbit yesterday. Be like, all right, well, I'm interested in why. I definitely want to, you know, I'm not going to judge until I know. And I think that's what we have here. Is like the Steelers and Mike Tomlin have done things one way, it hasn't worked, and I think people are taking that as, but that's all they know. That's all they know. Duffy Buckets. Every time I type a message here, it puts weird spaces in my words and makes me sound / look dumb. Duffy Buckets, brother. No, man. You're just talking to a bunch of big dumbos hanging out here, you know, having a good time. So you're fine. You're fine. We're
I
chilling.
can't even read on here. Like,
He
it's
can. He's
not a
actually is
problem.
blind.
I'm
He is
blind.
anytime Jacob does a live show alone, just know that this man actually can't see what you are typing. He's just
true.
totally guessing.
Just out here like
Hanging out. Tortellini salad. Noah, do you remember my call-in prediction from a month or two ago? Next year will be a better season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, I'd have to go back. But I believe you. I do think that next year, I don't know how I feel about that. I hope so, you know. I hope so. But I also feel like there's a possibility that you're 1 year late. It's a lot easier to get to the top than stay at the top, you know? And if the Steelers find themselves in a place where this year they were like that close, but they weren't enough, ask Houston, ask Washington. They are the last two to do. It's tough. It's a lot harder to stay at the top than it is to get there. And I'm worried that the Steelers might be in a place where next year they get their wide receiver, they get their defense figured out, and then Cam falls off and TJ falls off. And then you're sitting there going, all right, awesome. Got to figure that out next. And then it's just over.
yeah, dude. I mean, the comparisons here of Houston and with Washington, like that speaks perfectly to, again, like I'll go back to this Mike Tomlin thing. Like you might hate the fact that they haven't gotten over the playoff hump in nearly a decade, but how many teams can say that they go from winning a bunch of games to weathering injuries and can still be a winning team, can still be in the playoff hunt? It might not be good enough. I understand that, but yeah, it's crazy. To answer the question here of like, do I think next year will be a better season? Probably not. You know, unless I'll reserve full judgment until after the draft and roster personnel changes over in advance of the season. But you know, this feels like the year for them to get over the playoff hump if they were going to in the next few years. And so I have a hard time envisioning 2026 being that year they take another step forward. I think that was supposed to happen this year if it was going to.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to share this. We got a lot of people in the chat right now asking where we got the Asante Samuel stuff. According to Ian Rappaport's, it'll be a busy couple weeks for Asante Samuel Jr. He's visiting the Panthers today. After that, it's the Packers Thursday, Vikings Friday, 49ers Monday, Bears Tuesday, and Steelers Wednesday. A thorough, methodical, I was trying to say medical process here for the former Chargers cornerback, as always, but they will meet with him on Wednesday. Pittsburgh Hornets, with the Jets having as many picks as they do, and same with Cleveland, got me thinking, how many quarterbacks do you think will be picked up before the Steelers have a chance? I spoke to somebody today. Great. Thank you for asking this question. Oh, I always forget that this changes. Shout out, guys.
Go.
I was like, why does this look funny? Why does this look different?
Goofy to me.
Yeah. There are people out there in the NFL today that, like, I'm talking scouts and front office people who believe that there will still be 6 or 7 first round quarterbacks taken in this year's draft, that they're going to look different than what they were expected to look like, but that there will be 6 or 7, that the dude from Oregon is going to make his way up there. Alabama, USC is going to make his way up there. Oklahoma is going to make his way up there. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza is going to make his way in there, and there's going to be another floater or two. The dude from UCLA, potentially Nico if he comes out for sure. Sellers if he comes out for sure. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from front office scouts in the NFL, but the expectation is that there's still gonna be enough of these guys out there. Honestly, at this point, you just better hope that everybody else messes up shooting big on the Dante Moores and the Lenora Sellers, and they let the guy like Ty Simpson fall to the Steelers at like 26. That's kind of what you're hoping for.
This guy's not. This guy's not open for that at all.
You don't like Ty Simpson? I'm a Ty Simpson guy.
No, I don't know. I still like Lenora Sellers, even though I think the train's passed on him coming out this year. But yeah, I think of all of these guys, like, they're doing nothing for me right now. You know, I fall in love with quarterbacks once the playoffs start, though. I'll be the first to admit.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's at some point we're going to talk ourselves into Malik Willis is a franchise talent, and you have to draft him first overall. At some point that will happen, and we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Salad Bard Sneeze Guard, shout out, start bench cut, prime A-Rod, prime Big Ben, or prime Marino. That sucks, man, because I'm going to be honest with you. I know my answer, and Ben's getting cut. And that sucks because you're starting Marino, you're benching A-Rod, you're cutting Ben, unfortunately. That sucks, but you're cutting Ben.
That'd be crazy. First coach in history to say you cut Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, first one. Marino, but you're not, there's just no, you can't get away with that. You can't. No. ND Joe, why does it feel like the front office gives us enough hope to string us along only to yank the rug out at the last second? Something always seems to get in the way. By the way, how many members is AST up to? Oh, I want to say we have 3 something. I haven't checked in a week or two.
That's crazy.
Shout out to you guys, man. Can't thank you enough. It's so crazy. I think 1,000 members and I might evaporate. You know what I mean? I just don't think that 1,000 people should like us that much. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just a dude in Pittsburgh, but I honestly, you guys are awesome. Best family ever. When it comes to the front office, man, I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Steelers strung. I think Mike Tomlin, if he didn't say what he said yesterday, we're having a totally different conversation. I felt like that was such a slap in the face to fans for him to be like, I love shopping, and great teams, they shop at the deadline, and then nothing happens. I think that if he just stopped talking for 2 seconds there and gave a typical Mike Tomlin, kind of douchey answer, nobody cares. You know what I mean? Nobody feels so butthurt today. I think that's what the difference is.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think that is a huge component about it, is that it seemed like Mike Tomlin sort of tipped his hand, but like that's what the guy knows how to make a sound bite. That wasn't necessarily the most elusive and misdirection of a statement, right? Like that, it's like, all right, Mike Tomlin says wild stuff, like that's to be expected.
Yes.
I'm still disappointed because they should have made another move. Like yes, great teams go shopping.
Yes.
But good teams also address their problems quickly. So that's why I was disappointed in it. I respect and I still have full faith that Omar Khan was doing everything within his power to upgrade the team up until 4 p.m. yesterday, right? Like I don't have any doubt that he was doing that. You can disagree with what he did or did not do, but I have no doubts. And it's the same thing with for the same reason I do not believe that Mike Tomlin doesn't want to win. I refuse to believe that like Omar Khan is doing, the good for business bit to like keep you coming back for wanting more sort of situation. I think he's doing everything he can to be a winner. The difficulty of doing that and reaching all of these goals and accomplishing all of that is just that ridiculously difficult in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any showman. I think Mike Tomlin has showmanship, whether he wants to admit it or not. He's a showman.
Oh my God.
But
yes.
but I don't think it's in the way of dragging fans along. I think it's in the way of being a player's coach and presenting himself that way to the media. That's what I feel it is. So I agree with you. Like, I don't think anybody's sitting around going like, how do we keep, no, there's no Jerry Jones effect going on here. You know what I mean? This is straightforward as straightforward as it gets. And I think that's the difference. Dougie Fresh gifting all five All Steelers Talk memberships. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you guys so much. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And if you grab one of these, call into the call-in show next week. Wait till after the weekend, though, and then make your phone calls. We had a lot of them from like Wednesday that it's just not relevant anymore. You know what I mean? Got to answer the relevant ones. Tortellini salad. I still think Steelers should trade up and get Carnell Tate or Elijah Surratt. Why go with a QB who's less impressive than Will Howard and Mason Rudolph? I can't argue the Will Howard thing because every time I try to say Will Howard is not the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers, everybody gets very mad at me. And I just don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm going to accept that maybe I'm wrong. I would, at the other side of that, there's nothing in me that would trade up for a wide receiver. This is a good wide receiver class. There's a lot of talent. Wide receiver busts are the biggest percentage in the NFL. Like if you are going to miss on a position, wide receiver is the one. I, as of right now, would see who comes and feel pretty confident about who falls. I also think you could get the same level of talent in the second round if you're the Steelers.
Yeah, or you could just wait until, pick number 20. The best wide receiver in football right now, Jackson Smith and Jigba, was not a top 5 pick, was not a top 10 pick, was not a top 15 pick. And the Seattle Seahawks got him, I believe, at 19 or 20, if I'm not mistaken. So
the Steelers were 21.
Yeah, so they
so
were
he had to
right
be
before,
19.
right after. Yeah,
he was 2 before.
So there you go. It's I don't, and especially with how talented this wide receiver class, relative to my views on the quarterback class coming out of the NCAA right now, this wide receiver class, like it doesn't matter if you don't get Tate in the top 5. Like you can get maybe Mekhi Lemon at 15. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a myriad of players available in the end of the first round, in the second round, that the Steelers can get that could be a legitimate wide receiver too. And I think that is where they need to focus their attention rather than trying to move up. I don't think they need to move up, period. I just don't think there's a player right now that is the franchise answer that's worth moving up for. I do think adding 12 players via the draft, though, can help, kickstart whatever the next phase is.
I asked somebody, like, will the Steelers actually use 12 draft picks this year? And their response to me was, what NFL team do you know makes or has 12 rookies make a team? And I said, none. And he said, that should give you your answer. I said, all right, cool. Sounds good. Which tells you everything you need to know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they need to trade up early. You package 6th and 5th round picks, you move up in the 2nd round, you move up in the 3rd to the 2nd round. You know what I mean? You do those things, and I think that's available for sure. Smoothest Buddhist. Tommy Boy was clip farming, nothing more, nothing less.
For real.
For sure. 100%. 100%. Enigma After Dark. He meant he loves shopping at Kaya's, which reminds me that we 100% didn't give away that sweatshirt because I 100% until right now forgot that I have to go pick it up, which is still sitting there. Kaya, if you are watching or if your Asian is watching, please do not throw that away. I plan to come pick it up. I will be out that way tonight. Maybe, just maybe. I will probably not stop by, but maybe. Just maybe. Just maybe. All right, let's keep it trucking here. Lindsey Tomlin said MVS was just on the practice squad. Is that changing? It is not changing. He will remain on the practice squad for now. Do we see MVS this week? My guess is no. I do not anticipate MVS plays this week, maybe next week. And that brings us to another one here that I saw. There it is. John, Noah, and Jacob, I'm a little late, so I don't know if this has been addressed, but with MVS being on the practice squad, realistically, how many snaps can he expect to get game ready during practice? I don't anticipate him getting many to start. I could see next week him getting a couple of more, though. Like, I think it's a gradual build. This week, he will spend almost his entire week getting 3rd and 4th string reps.
Yeah, he'll be a scout team. He'll help the Steelers get ready for the Chargers. He'll mirror, who's the Keenan Allen's routes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
In practice, but like that's about it. But I don't think he needs he just needs to get the language right with the playbook. He needs to understand how they're moving through things. He has a competitive advantage because he knows what Aaron Rodgers is like at the line of scrimmage. He's familiar with his cadence and things like that. So that's stuff that you work on in practice whenever you're new to a team. And I think the fact that he doesn't need to get up to speed in those departments will help him. But give him at least a week before you start seeing him involved in any 1st or 2nd team reps in practice.
Yeah, I agree. Keeping it trucking here. Guys, not related to the Steelers at all, but I'm out in the boondocks slinging packages, and I just saw a monkey in a tree in South Carolina. What is happening? Wait, we have the answer. We have the answer to what is happening. Steve, I'm in South Carolina too. They had some escape a test lab a few months ago. That is so awesome. There have been others who have commented and have verified this. That is incredible. Don't touch the monkey. Let it go. Let it do its thing. Incredible, dude. I don't know what's happening in South Carolina, but hope y'all are enjoying it. Hope y'all are enjoying it.
That's crazy. Can I say a random story real quick? If anyone's ever in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the Pittsburgh of Florida, because they have a Permanis down there. Because
they do.
There's this incredible place called the Bonnet House, which is like a historic landmark, and the people who built it brought animals that were not native to Florida. Some of them are monkeys that still live on the Bonnet House complex. So if you're ever in there, beautiful.
That's incredible. It's incredible. I might have to go check it out just to be like, I think that that Frick, whatever the guy's name is, the famous Frick, the Frick Mansion.
Henry Frick? Yeah.
Henry Frick, that guy. I think he should have had like a tiger or something walking around in there.
Yeah.
That like when you go, it's still there. It's still there hanging out, just having a good time.
Oh man. It's a descendant of Richard Parker, the tiger. Little Life 100%. Of Pi reference for any fans out there.
Pittsburgh Hornets. What's more likely? Steelers get at least a third quarterback on the board, or they finish in the AFC Championship game or better. Oh, it's AFC Championship game or better. I don't think they're getting the third quarterback in the draft.
No. I think it's way more likely that they finish in the AFC Championship game. That's the very, very, very clever use of wordage there, because it's just that they appear, just they show up. Not that they have to win it or better, but you show up, it's great.
Maybe they face the Jacksonville Jaguars or something. You never know. You never know what happens. Lindsay, what's more likely? Our defense shows up again or they look horrible?
Horrible.
Yeah, dude. If you're bringing the odds into this, it's horrible, which stinks. It should not be horrible, but it is. It is. Nate Moore with no wide receiver trade yesterday. Does this solidify that they will extend Calvin Austin III? I don't think so. I'm not saying that Calvin Austin doesn't get an extension. I don't think that yesterday said anything about it. Like, I know they were trying to land a wide receiver. I know they made phone calls. I know they were actively shopping for wideouts. To me, that tells you that they wanted somebody, but they understood it would have been a rental. They didn't want a rental. And I don't think it has anything to do with Calvin Austin.
Agreed. I do anticipate he comes back beyond 2025, and maybe Noah and I disagree about like how likely that is, but I think it doesn't negate the fact that they are going to pursue a wide receiver 2 in the draft or free agency or something like that, and they probably want to bring him back as the 3rd or 4th option.
Yes, I agree. Justin Gordon, if you're talking draft football starts and ends in the trenches, have you got to start peeking to see what the deepest, best position group is coming out? This is actually very interesting as well, because yesterday and today are like middle of the season, the most you'll talk to random people across the league. Like things get real quiet. You're kind of just having this, and you have those conversations, and a lot of it is like, it's way too early to start looking at the trenches in college football. That none of that. The rule of thumb in the NFL most of the time is that none of that actually starts trenches wise until like you see them at the Senior Bowl and stuff, because at that point you kind of have a list and then you see who's real and who's not. Because a lot of that stuff is like, you can look good with 4 guys next to you who also look good, but we got to see how good you are when I'm putting the pressure on you, when I'm here telling you to do this differently and that differently. And that's not me. I'm not a scout, but that's the conversation I had is that right now it's a little bit too early. But I will tell you that couple of stuff that was tossed at us, or that was tossed at me, defensive line and some wide receiver, maybe the deepest parts of this draft class, which is good.
Two positions the Steelers need to address and keep upgrading at, so that's very convenient for them.
Enigma After Dark, what's more likely, we sign OBJ or Deontay?
I hate
it. OBJ, man. It's OBJ. And Enigma After Dark, if you get this right, if you were the one that predicted, I will give you credit. I will not do it with a smile, because it will be painful. It will be painful to say, for sure. All right.
God, I hate it here.
Mystery Jacob and Noah, do you guys love or hate the holidays? My guess is Jacob is the kind of guy who decorates November 1st, and Noah's a Scrooge. What the hell,
man? How about that?
I am not a Scrooge, okay? I'm not a Scrooge. I am a holly jolly guy. I hate the snow and the cold. That's where I get it out of my face. I hate it all. Don't even think about precipitating on me. I don't even care about Christmas precipitation. Get it off of my face, bro. I hate the snow. People be like, snow on Christmas. No way, dude. No way. 95 and sunny on Christmas. I don't care. Hate it.
I love it, dude. I tell you what, I'm a holly jolly guy. If my wife would let us decorate for Christmas today, it'd be up. I am Mariah Carey being thawing off as she hits the high note, and all I want for Christmas is you. That is me right now on November the 5th. Just eagerly anticipating Christmas. I love it. Love Christmas music, love Christmas movies. I love just being happy. You know what I mean? Like, I just love like nice cheer. That's all the holiday season brings for me.
Facts. I'm a big Christmas music guy. I'm a big Christmas guy. Hallmark is on in my house 24/7 during the holiday. I'm shocked it's not on yet. My wife is trying so hard to hold back. Yesterday, I was doing a little meditating up in we got a den up here, and I was hanging out in the den doing a little meditating. It was like 9 p.m. or something. And I hear like Christmas jazz going on. And I was like, in my head, I was like deep into this meditation. So I was like, oh, I must be like feeling the holiday. This is it. We're ready to go. And then I opened my eyes and was like, I think that's coming from inside my house. I think that's it. That's not in my head. And I came downstairs and my wife was like, well, it's too early to listen to Christmas music. So this is where we're at. It's like,
So this is Kenny G's Christmas album.
this is
Smooth
Kenny G's.
jazz.
It was smooth jazz of like rocking around the Christmas. And I was like, this is Christmas music. This is what this is. It was awesome.
That's incredible.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Carl, mean cup of Joe green beans, salad spackler. Hey, Noah, since I missed my call in last week, be ready. If we lose, I expect on Sunday. I'm calling before Wednesday. I was on fire last time. Look at Carl. I have your stuff clipped. And it was not included in the call-in show because I'm telling it deserves its own little clip. And I'm making it. I've just ran out of time today, but it's coming. Don't you worry. And I haven't listened to it. We're going to do it face value, whatever it is. But I have 2 audio files on my laptop right now saying letter from Carl 2. And it's happening. He's got another one. Start bench cut, peak Big Ben, peak Donovan McNabb, and peak Cam Newton. This is a good one.
Ooh,
This is a
cutting
good
Cam.
one. Yeah?
That's easy for me. He didn't win.
Oh, I think I'm cutting Donovan.
No, I think I'm too nostalgic for Donovan because I was younger when he played versus Cam. I think I love Cam Newton. Don't get me wrong. Like him post NFL, like I love Cam.
Wow,
Newton.
really?
Like, yeah, his podcast is sick. Him talking about the game. So like I find it to be so informative and no BS about it, you know.
Okay.
But I think I'm starting Big Ben, benching Donovan, and cutting Cam. In there, like three good, great quarterbacks. I think Big Ben is easily the most accomplished of those 3.
I think Ben is my start. I think if Cam, if we're just looking peak Cam one season, get it over with, it's hard to beat him.
He was
It's
dominant.
hard. He was crazy. Donovan was fun though. I did like Donovan McNabb. I think I grew up in a house where, like, I grew up with not with Eagles fans in my house, but like in Eagles territory.
Mhm.
And that sucked because I was like just close enough to Philadelphia where like Eagles fans, and you were just like, you guys suck. I don't like any of you. And I think that ruined a lot of it on me. I do. I think that sucked. You know what I mean?
You guys suck.
They do. They do. I will say they're Cowboys fans, Eagles fans, the worst of the fans. Without question, the worst of the fans. Browns fans are up there, but I mean, you live in Ohio, dude. Like, you know,
It's tough enough.
it can't. Yeah, you're paying $2,000 for rent. Shout out to Ernie Jones. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it can't be fun. It can't be fun. Dylan, I think we will end up with Asante after he visits on Wednesday. What's your 1 to 10 shot?
3.
Oh, I'm going to 7.
Oh, I love how far apart we are in this because who's gonna be right? You know,
Who's gonna be right? I'm feeling. I don't know. I feel like if he gets to next Wednesday and hasn't signed somewhere yet, there's a shot. There's a shot.
And I think that's where my head's at. Is I'm like, I don't even know if he gets to Wednesday. You know, that stinks being the last in that group because there's some players in there that are definitely going to want his services and can offer, you know, not only a nice little contract but playing time in a way that maybe the Steelers couldn't, or maybe that is more favorable to him in his camp. So,
yes,
man, I hope he is he comes to Pittsburgh on his last visit, does not leave without a contract. Right? That'd be sick. That's my idea.
I agree. And we'll finish it off with Elijah. What are the chances Beanie Bishop is resigned to the practice squad this year? None. I don't think Beanie comes back. I think his time's over. I hope he gets another deal somewhere. Hate to see guys fizzle out of the league. But we'll see what happens. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Before you head out of here, hit that like button on the video. Can't thank you enough for that. It really does wonders for the YouTube channel. Appreciate you as always. And with that said, enjoy another Beautiful day in the Berg.